Hi, beautiful souls. It's Tan back here again today with you on this Astrology, Human Design, and Gene Keys channel. And today's a very exciting and special day because I'm here with a team of amazing, beautiful, talented astrologers. So we're going to be doing a 12th house series because we kind of discussed this and we thought that we all have at least one of our planets, personal planets in the 12th house. So what a great series to be doing together to start off in our YouTube filming. So yeah, and today we're going to be doing Moon in the 12th house. But first and foremost, let me introduce you guys to who's here with us today. So here we have with us Antonia Earls, who is the senior astrologer at Tan Astrology, Sarah Elizabeth Darville and Adriana Felix, who are the juniors astrologers at Tan Astrology, and last but not least, Anmol Rar, who is our intern at Tan Astrology. So yeah, let's get started today. I think we could just start off a little bit by contemplating or reflecting on the 12th house before we get into Moon in the 12th house and what you guys feel about the 12th house in general. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So of course the 12th house is one of the bad places. So that's kind of where your mind automatically gets directed, and this house of self-undoing. So I think that's a good trampoline jump to the next.
Yes, it also rules over hospitals, prisons, and foreign lands. So it's all about being distant and secluded from the world. So yeah.
Since it's associated with Pisces as a sign, it's a bit of like an isolated and dreamy house, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found that when researching about the 12th house that it's really this place of in between. So we're in between what is conscious in the first house and what is lived, and then between that and then everything in the northern hemisphere. So it is this in between state where we're kind of lazy and drowsy from waking up and like more in touch with that which is not manifested yet, and that is kind of liminal between the realms of what is visible and invisible. So we do meet a lot of our fears here. We do meet a lot of our pain and loss around, mortality and being an incarnate being. I find that planets in the 12th house tend to sort of come with their fair share of like questions and confusion and lack of clarity. And there's a reason for that, because they're just rising, they're just emerging into being manifested. So yeah, just between the veil.
Yeah, and just kind of also like being that house where the ego is sort of hidden, but also kind of not really visible to whatever planet's there, and kind of working through themes of like healthy ego would be something that I think is associated with the 12th house, and kind of that victimization mentality or that martyr kind of way of being when dealing with how to work with the ego and things like that. I think that's also something there. Yeah.
Yeah, an interesting thing that I think maybe Chris Brennan mentioned on Astrology podcast was it being the sign that was rising when you were in labor, or when your mother was in labor with you. So thinking about that kind of constriction, or potentially in my case where I was C-section baby, so I was just kind of ripped out of it, kind of like amending those struggles and overcoming those struggles, and those being kind of the shadow elements of your psyche.
Yeah, and definitely the idea of the womb and like the state of your mother when she had you in the womb, and like what's going on there and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the prenatal, like when you're studying prenatal aspects. So, the experience of the mother, like what it was like being in the womb, but also things that were happening around the mother at that time, just in that 9-month period. So kind of the world that you're born into as well is in the 12th house. So, you know, we can find a lot of almost like, I love the way Judith Hill talks about the 12th house as like representing sometimes where you like a hangover from your past life, or like you're kind of, there's a, yeah, like a hangover. I love the way she worded that, that you're like experiencing residual energy from that moment of being in the womb, like that you're carrying that stuff into your life. And so if you have planets in the 12th house, you're imprinted with some kind of learnings around being in that space before being born, which is an infinite ocean of the subconscious, really.
Yeah. So then what do you guys think about like moon in the 12th house then? How's that coming together, like being in that 12th house?
Well, I think both moon and the 12th house are places of a lot of emotion, right? A lot of emotion comes into play, but at the same time, it's behind the scenes. So a lot of backstage action. I think it's a really intriguing place for a person to have, because the person is not going to show it, right? So in a way, it's going to attract people to find that out, like what was she's feeling, or what is he thinking, so something along those lines.
Yeah, or even emotions that you're separated from, or you know, emotions that you don't feel connected with, like not being able to notice those things about you, blindsided or blind spots about your psyche, and emotions being one of those if the moon is in the 12th house.
Yeah, I would think the person with the moon in 12th house wouldn't be much aware of what they're actually feeling, and they would sometimes almost like they're like outside of their bodies and kind of observing. Like they can have a sort of like a recognition of like, oh, this is what I should be feeling around the situation, but do I actually feel it? You know, am I actually feeling it in this body? Is something that I've noticed with this placement.
Yeah, I want to bring up, since I have moon in the 12th, like I feel personally called out right now, like I'm getting a bit emotional, but when I do get upset, like another person, that whoever's around me usually asks like, how do you feel? What are you feeling? And in that moment, like I don't really know what I'm feeling. So I usually answer with, I don't know. And people are like, often they're like, oh, is she serious? She's just lying. She doesn't know. Like, how do you not know what you're feeling? But at times, like multiple times, like this has occurred with me where I feel I don't really know what I'm feeling. It takes a bit of time to like understand what I'm actually feeling.
Yeah, the 12th house is definitely a place where you're almost like forced to go and sit with yourself in the dark or isolated and be on your own, so that all of those unmanifested feelings can sort of become concrete in some ways. So like you don't have any awareness until you actually go to the place where you can be in total isolation. And that's why I think it's associated a lot to, you know, prisons and monasteries and nunneries and like retreats and places that are in fringe of society, where you have to like go on a pilgrimage and be on your own and retreat to actually get in touch with that planet, because it's so far away from your conscious mind that you can only meet it by going inwards, going deep inwards. And often that is paired with cutting yourself away from society in some kind of way to get there. So it takes work, but it's also a place where you know you're able to like dive really, really deep. Like once you open up that door, it's like there's so much in there.
Yeah, what do you guys make of like the mother of like somebody who had moon in the 12th house? And one of you want to share, that would be interesting as well. But yeah, what do you think about the nurturing of the mother for the person with the moon in the 12th?
feel like it would depend on the sign as well, and
Mhm.
you know, if it's going to be combined with other planets. So if Mars is there, that's going to maybe have like a more tense, you know, birthing process, and also the mother experiencing maybe some tension. But if it's just the moon in itself, yeah, I find that without the combinations, it's a bit more tricky to really pinpoint what that might be. But certainly I think the needs and nurturing, like the needs that the mother has at the time, maybe are called into question, or there's something around, you know, almost like the placenta is like the connection, like with the child, the newborn, and the nurturing, like the nutrients, sorry, the nutrients that were available, like what food is available, like not knowing what to feed yourself, and maybe the mother not knowing what to feed themselves, or something around food and diet and nutrients, I'm getting.
I would also associate some type of distance, maybe emotional or physical distance, an episode or something that, you know, occurs over the time. Yeah, I think that's something people with this moon experience, some kind of distance.
Or like estranged from the mother, or if an unfortunate situation with the mother not being around for the child, depending again on the ruler of the house and where that resides in the chart elsewhere. So yeah, just either not knowing how to deal with emotions with the mother, or being separated from the mother in some kind of way is what I'm seeing. Like not a real physical relationship with the mother, or mental relationship.
Yeah, I would like to add on like my personal relationship with my mother, with my moon being in the 12th. It's like I've always felt like I had to like beg for my mom's attention, and like she was never there. Like, I feel like I have to beg for something that a child should have. And like since my moon is also in Leo, so that makes sense that like my mom was like emotionally distant, and I just felt like now I felt like I was a needy child because of that experience.
Yeah, like not having your needs be met from an early age.
Yeah, maybe the moon's in Leo. There's like this maybe needing that attention as well, like
Yeah.
that focus on me from the mom that, you know, that you might have wanted as well, right? Yeah, it's interesting.
And also the heart center, like the, you know, Leo ruling the heart and being like this emanation from the heart, like needing that like close contact with the heart, you know, like the baby being on the chest, kind of that contact I could see being useful for a baby with a moon in Leo.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Like this is probably like a very specific example, but I did know someone who had displacement as well. And this is probably like very specific because like he had like a moon square Pluto, and moon was in the 12th. And but even I think maybe without that Pluto, it could still be possible because his mother had kind of like a mental illness as well. And it was interesting because that guy, he didn't know that his mother had that mental illness for a very large part of his life. So until he was like almost 40 years old, he never knew that that was happening. So I think that there's that, you know, like distant or not wanting to look, you know, that not necessarily like an ignorance, but more of like an almost like an innocence or a naivety around moon in the 12th house people, where they're so compassionate by their nature, and they don't want to look at something that can be considered like dark or distressing. Like in this example, like he was not, you know, he wouldn't even consider his mother to have any kind of mental illness until I think he saw a therapist one day and was talking to a therapist about it. And so it came up that, you know, his mother had something there. And so I think that that innocence, that compassion is, it's very strong. And I think it's very beautiful, but sometimes it can kind of be against the moon in the 12th house person as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking about how, especially with the moon in the 12th house, and how I mentioned earlier, the whole that's going through labor is the 12th house. It's interesting because that's kind of the last um, situation that you have with your mother. That's kind of the last thing you guys go through together connected. And so it's interesting with the moon because as representative of the mother, as representative of the body, um, it seems like that would also play a big part in the personality and trying to incorporate that into the personality and maybe not being able to incorporate those emotions into the personality because of that.
Yeah, there's definitely this kind of fundamental need for moon in 12th house to reconnect with the mother archetype or the maternal energy in the life. So that becomes part of a spiritual work almost for the person. And that if we're neglecting those aspects, like if we're neglecting our needs, our sort of primordial needs as a body, as a being, we are entering a sphere where we're going to need coping mechanisms. So moon in the 12th house can not automatically, but sometimes lead to some addiction issues or mental health issues and spiraling inwards and outwards because there's no kind of signposts and there's no visibility of a conscious relationship. I think it's really important for 12th house planets, moon in 12th house, to really spend time building a deep relationship with that planet and the archetype of that planet. So kind of engaging in like devotional, like rekindling, the bonds with the mother archetype, even if you can't rebuild a connection with the actual mother, you just have to rebuild and weave that into your psyche, into your consciousness in some way.
Yeah, I like how you emphasize the mother archetype because I think that's important to mention. We're also talking about feminine energy, yin, and that kind of emotions being connected with the feminine. So yeah, it's really important to mention that it's the mother archetype that you really want to be able to incorporate into the shadow, even if it cannot physically be the woman or the the feminine person that raised you.
Yeah. So what do you guys think would be like some practical ways of connecting with that mother archetype for moon in 12th house people?
Well, definitely, I think body work, somatic work, like anything, because the moon is this planet that really, because it's the planet that regulates or has something to do with the physical, because it moves so fast and it affects the waters inside our body, because it moves the tides, so it moves the waters in our body. It has a lot to do with our emotions and our emotional needs, as well as our physical needs, as being like our inner waters moving constantly, and we need to check in. So checking in with the body, I think, is really important, like through some kind of practice that grounds the body. So it could be earth, like just coming into contact, skin to earth. Feet, feet. We were talking that the 12th house is the house of feet in medical astrology, and if you could spend time with your feet on the ground would be really important. And also some therapeutic practices where the body is being touched and really massaged, or somatic therapy where you're being brought back into the body, like dropping back into your body, because there can be a lot of like kind of spiraling out of the body and dissociation with this particular placement.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think like emotions are, energy in motion. And I feel like sometimes like grounding is necessary, but this might depend on the person, but sometimes just actually moving that energy, that emotion in the body, like sometimes dance or sometimes like shamanic dance or spiritual types of dance movements and things like that can help to kind of just get that moving in the body as well.
And I'd say for this placement to definitely recognize the need to seclude and the need to be by yourself to process emotions, and just knowing that that's a part of you, even if you're a socialite, you still are kind of designed to need that time to really process your emotions by yourself.
And also learn about emotions, because it's okay not to know what one is feeling. Like sometimes it's so confusing because it's about feeling, not knowing. And therapy can help you, because you can see correlate what you're saying and what you're feeling and the situations that you lived, and combine that into describing a feeling. So really understanding how to manage emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned knowing what you're actually feeling, what your emotions are. And I think sometimes, even if it's hard to put into words, like what you're actually feeling as a moon in 12th house, just coming back to the body. And if somebody asks you, like, what are you feeling? I'm feeling uneasy in my stomach, or I'm feeling like something stuck in my throat. Just as simple as that, where you don't have to be like, I'm sad, or I'm angry, I'm not sure, but my stomach is uneasy. You can always come back to that physical connection there. I think that's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the emotional awareness, because it's not totally like anchored in the body, like because it's in this space that's just behind, it's like kind of just there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about dissociation, how that from an early childhood, like really foundational period, when you were super, super fragile, not having access to that maternal contact would mean that you split, you split into sort of the person that can cope regardless of any situation, and then the person that like has these deep needs. So kind of like voicing your needs through your relationships would be really important, to make sure that the persons that you're with in life know, once you've kind of made those discoveries, like, I've realized that actually I really need that my friend like sits with me and lets me just say what I feel. And once you've figured that out, make sure that you're doing that in the relationship, making it kind of concrete and visible, because it's so invisible. It like needs to be proved, I feel like, in real life.
Yeah, I love that idea, because that is the 12th house. It's such like a blind spot, and such like a Neptunian, like I can't grasp it. That just making things clear is super important. Yeah, so I think we have a little game that we're gonna play. Adriana's prepared some games. Are you gonna share your screen with us?
Yes, I'm going to try to.
And the viewers can also guess, right? They can also
Yeah.
play along.
So yeah, these are some of the, let me share. Can you see it? Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm lost. Wait. Because where's my...
That's good.
Now I want to do this. Okay, so these are some of what's happening. Okay, so these are some of celebrities that have moon in the 12th house. So I think this is an easy one, because it's a very known artist, female artist with sun in Sagittarius, and she's very known for being a Sagittarius. She also has this really dream. I think this is the perfect example for moon in the 12th house. So I don't know if you have any guesses.
The moon conjunct Neptune there. I don't know.
Yeah, and she looks like it. She's very from another world, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Moon Neptune is very otherworldly, kind of spiritual, magical.
Mm. Can I show it?
Like she's an artist, like a singer, or like a...
She's a singer.
Art of Fortune and Taurus, third house or second house. Okay, yeah.
So ascendant being Pisces, it's the first thing you see about her, is that she's really dreamy. She also sounds a little bit dreamy too, like really small voice.
Huh.
Can I show it?
Go ahead.
Billie Eilish.
Oh, okay.
Orient which generation of celebrities we're talking about.
wait, I have others, okay. And
It's beautiful. That's a perfect example. Like her music is such a perfect example of this placement as well. And the Aquarius energy coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought she was a Pisces sun.
No, she's a Sag. And this is very, people talk about this a lot, about she's being a Sag. Yeah. So next one. So this one was a crush of mine while growing up. Okay, that's it. And he had a band, something related to this planet. And he has this type of vibe, also very dreamy, very Neptunian, I think. Sarah, do you know?
I know. I know who it is.
Go on, who's it?
Jared Leto.
Yes. It's
Oh my god, have you seen this series he's in, We Crashed? I've just started watching it. Yeah, it's amazing. He's I didn't know he was still like doing things recently, and he's in this series called We Crashed. But you haven't seen it. I'll let you find out.
yeah, he has a lot of talents, right? He's a true artist, I would say. And then, so this is one for the, I'm not gonna call him old because people are going to come for me, but yeah, another type of person that is into music, both music and acting. Also, the vibe they have, it's really dreamy. It's really like in the background, but also very mesmerizing. It's a he.
Uh-huh.
Do you know, Sarah?
Does he have dreadlocks?
Yes.
Is it Bob Marley?
Oh,
no, this is Lenny Kravitz. Okay, I know Bob Marley also has it in the moon in the 12th house. Okay, yeah. Lenny Kravitz, American Woman.
So the last one was unexpected, and I got the charts from Astrology, and I think this is correct because I double checked. But I was surprised to see this chart in this particular person. So it's a female actress. And what can I say about her? She's an icon. She's been here for a while, but she's like 30 something. I'll let you look. Look all the Scorpio vibes in here.
Sarah, do you know this one?
Not this one.
I will reveal it and tell me if you think that this is unexpected.
Huh. Well, definitely.
What?
I said I definitely wasn't thinking her, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, she's like the true meaning of hiding, right? Because she has a lot of energy in this house.
So Scarlett Johansson was in a film called Under the Skin, where she was luring men in order to basically completely disassemble them. There's no actual visual of what she's actually doing. She just kind of takes them into a layer and just like, whatever. Then she moves on to the next man. So that's a interesting film. Perhaps, her representing this kind of 12th house mysterious unseen side in a character representation as opposed to it being actually her. Well, let's hope.
Also, yeah. The Lucy movie, it's really about self-undoing because she finished the movie being everything, right? So
yeah, doesn't she like tap into, well, let's not give away the ending without a spoiler alert, but I'm pretty sure she like plugs into the computer or something like that. So yes, like self-undoing. And then, yeah, also it is a movie that is about laced with drugs, we'll say. So yeah. The 12th house, addictions and self-undoing.
So I think this is the most unexpected celebrity chart, and then Billie Eilish is the most seen, right? Because she has all that Neptunian vibe, and she's actually very open about talking about mental health and dealing and struggling a lot with emotions, actually. So
Yeah, so that comes through as her making manifest or visible her internal struggles. So, and then helping, being a guiding light for other people to manage their own lack of clarity around these things. Which can be the case with a luminary, which is the planet, which is the giver of light in the chart. Like a luminary being in a dark house, being then, once you come into contact with that work, where you go through that spiritual work, or when you spend time there, you can then become a beacon of light for other people and help them see inside of their dark realm. But yeah, that's the thing with the 12th house, is that we can't always know what's happening in there, so we can't give all of the clues to what's happening with these examples, but definitely their roles in their creativity and their career show a lot, these placements, because creativity is a way of expressing and channeling things that are unconscious. So I feel like 11th house moon get really nurtured by expressing their creativity and bringing out into visibility all of these hidden things.
Also in psychology, sorry, Ten.
Sorry. I was going to ask Anne more about like her creativity and what she, how she expresses herself creatively there with her moon 12.
Yes, so I actually discovered this a while back, like probably like 6 years ago. My friend, she would write down, she would just like journal, but she would start like channeling her emotions and like writing down what she was feeling and like turning that into poetry. So she told me that that would help me. So she's not into astrology, but she just said that would help me because she knows me very well. But after I started doing that, I feel like I would be less moody because, like you guys said, we have to ground emotions because the 12th house is a very watery planet and it flows and it's not very stable in a sense. So we have to like grab the water and like put it in a jar or something, like confining, but also discovering like the existence of the emotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great visual, the containment. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Then, maybe finding some beautiful fishes in that jar after you've contained it, or finding some treasures hidden in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Adriana, did you want to say something about
Yeah, I was actually going to ask Kenmal about dreams, because in psychology, we know that when we have a lot of anxiety, depression, that will immediately reflect on dreams. And this is a very dreamy house. So, Kenmal, can you talk about a little bit about this?
Yes, so I do not sleep well because I have vivid dreams every single night. I wake up in the morning and whoever is like with me or like whoever I spend my day with, I'm always like, I had this crazy dream last night, but that's every night. And I feel like it's me just processing my emotions. Like when I sort of look at what I dreamt about, I can understand what I'm feeling in reality. Like when I'm like awake, I don't really know, but like after I dream and I wake up the next day and like look into my dream, it makes a lot of sense and I feel like a sense of relief that I know like what I'm feeling in the current moment.
Yeah, that subconscious realm is where you understand things best, and so it's almost like when you enter dream world, you enter the subconscious realm that you can also visit in the waking days by yourself. But yeah, like it seems like this placement would allow someone to receive downloads really easily in that kind of meditative space or sleeping space. And as we were mentioning earlier, with the moon being the luminary that reflects the sunlight, so it's that that nocturnal realm. Yeah, it's a good it's a good thing also to like document those kinds of things, those dreams that you have, because those would help you in the waking life too.
Sarah, I think you had like a celebrity or something you wanted to discuss today as well.
Well, I did. I just came with a couple of names from celebrities. There's kind of two with more like tragic endings, honestly. One being, I don't have his chart, but Jonathan Brandis. I don't know if you all remember him from like the early 90s in some shows, and then ended up in 2003, an unfortunate ending to his life during his Saturn return. So you can imagine, potentially what that might have led to. But Moon in the 12th house. And then also Patrick Swayze, who ultimately like overcame cancer, and then it finally his remission ended and he went back into having cancer. And finally, I just wanted to mention Rihanna. She's got her moon in the 12th house in Pisces. Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
interesting. I don't know, like what vibe do you guys get from Rihanna? Because I definitely feel this restraint from her, creative restraint. She can just be so outspoken by not saying anything, but kind of just like having this demeanor about her. So I wonder if you also have any kind of ways you feel when you see Rihanna.
Rihanna is a Pisces sun, right? She has
Pisces
a lot
sun.
of, yeah, she has a lot of Pisces energy.
I think that makes sense what you're saying. I can't speak to Rihanna specifically, but that makes sense what you're saying about reserve and restraint, like that. The 12th house is a place where we contain a lot behind the surface, and like we were saying with Scarlett Johansson with Under the Skin, that, what you see is not what you get. Like, that there is so much under the skin with 12th house moon. And so that might be where you're getting that energy of like this kind of, this deep light that's hidden under the skin.
Yeah, I think she has a Venus in Aries as well. And I think that is something that you can kind of see within her, that Venus in Aries. But like it's she's just so like, I don't know, maybe you can say provocative in the way that she's, with her femininity, but maybe there's something there that's harder to see behind the surface with her moon, being in Pisces in 12. So
Is it in Pisces?
That's what I'm looking at now. Okay. So of course I do whole sign houses, so I need to be absolutely sure that with all
Yeah.
Should I pull up her chart?
That's what I was trying to do secretively.
But also Rihanna's well known for also providing a container for safe expression of femininity through the projects that she does. She does have an exploration around empowering the feminine that may be repressed for certain people, that may be neglected for certain people, like really empowering people to explore their femininity in some kind of way, but that in a way that is their own, not by the social norms, let's say.
Yeah, there seems to be just like a strong woman essence, but not in this way where it's kind of aggressive, like the, Aries kind of way, like this immature, aggressive way. It's more of a inviting you into her space kind of vibe that I get from her. It's like you were saying, provocative. That's definitely a very good word to, I think, describe her.
I think her moon's in Aries. I'm not sure I'm looking at it now. This is the correct.
It is. Moon's in Aries, 12th house.
Should I share it?
Yeah, if you have it up. Yeah, I just have it on my phone.
It's behind the ascendant, though.
Okay. Are you seeing it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Aries energy.
Yeah.
Provocative Aries energy.
So Rihanna has this one song called Disturbia. I'm not sure if you guys have heard it, but it's an old song. And one of the lyrics of the song is, it's the darkness in the light. Disturbia, like that's
nice one.
Nice.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, so I think that was really fun to talk about. You guys have anything else you want to add for today?
I
Okay.
guess just take care of your moon, 12th house moon.
Take care of your emotions. Take care of yourself. Nurture yourself.
Yes.
Build that
All right.
connection with the maternal archetype.
Okay, then. That's going to be it for today's video. Beautiful souls, I hope that you enjoyed it. And we'll be back with more 12th house personal planets. What are we going to be doing next? What do you guys want to do next?
Mars.
Venus.
Venus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe Mars or Venus.
We'll see.
Bye.
Bye.